Hello, everybody. My name is Kim Yutani, and I'm one of the senior programmers here at the Sundance Film Festival. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to the Café of the 2015 Sundance Film Festival. For those of you who are not familiar with the format of Cinema Cafe, these are our conversations between interesting, cool people who are here at the festival with films. We have a particularly cool and sexy pairing of yes, of Christopher Abbott, who is with the film James, and Alia Shawkat, who is here with the film Nasty Baby, and she is a nasty baby, and she is also one of our short film jurors. So we're working her hard here. I want to thank all of you for coming here live. We also are live streaming on Sundance.org, and we'll be streaming all of our cinema cafes on Sundance.org, so you can check out the full schedule. Now, I'd like to introduce our for today. Please welcome Brian Brooks, who is with the Film Society of Lincoln Center.
Thank you, Kim. Well, I'm very excited to be a part of the sexy pairing here, so thanks for coming. So
you're very lucky to be here.
I am lucky to be here. And we have an audience for this pairing. Anyway, so I think you both know each other before this pairing, actually. Is that correct? And how do you...
We started our friendship to be comfortable in this pairing, actually. We thought as much time as we get before, the better.
Yeah.
It makes for better...
Through Sebastian and Antonio. I'm sorry, I'm giving the real answer.
No, let's get into it. Yeah, New York friends.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you live in New York now? Or
I don't. I like to pretend I do sometimes, though. So I do. I live in New York. Yeah.
Okay. And have you both worked together yet, or is that's something to look forward to?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet. Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Have you seen his? Yes. Have you seen James White?
No,
and
I haven't
seen
yet.
Nasty Baby?
Because you haven't either, right?
Yeah, I have.
Oh. All right. Well, half of the sex is gone, I guess.
The next 10 questions are ruined now.
They're all about James White. I wanted to see, and then it was in Salt Lake City, and I've been doing short screenings all the time. But I am a small Kickstarter supporter. Did you know that?
No.
You're a what?
I was part of the Kickstarter of James White. I submitted $20 or something.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to get a moment of seriousness here. I'm going to go right to James White, who is the title character that you play, James White, and he is a guy who I would say lives life or has been living life a bit on the edge, kind of on the maybe talk about some of what he is facing.
I think the character of James White is a guy who obviously is already dealing with his own issues, whether it's more related to alcohol abuse or other kinds of abuse, and then this movie then revolves around him dealing with his mother, who is a stage 4 cancer patient. So it's somebody who's already kind of in a lot of trouble, and then kind of has to face up to something much bigger than him and somebody else other than himself.
Right. How many of you have had a chance to see James White? Actually, oh, good. Very good. In the next section, which is a very, very cool section, one of my favorites here at Sundance, and you're also next section with Nasty Baby. How does your character get into the sphere of Freddie and Mo and talk about their quest?
Yeah, it's a great quest. I'm like just a part of the world that they live in. I play Wendy, Freddie's like a really developed character. You know, she has many layers to her. It's a really cool movie. I saw it for the first time here, and it's kind of unlike anything I've been in before or seen. And Sebastian Silva.
Yes, let's give a little shout out to Sebastian, who's out there,
the white hat.
Out there somewhere.
He loves it. He loves
his return to Sundance, by the way. Yes.
It was a really cool style of movie to shoot to. It was like an outline, and then we kind of just like improvised it and created this perfect hipster world, but without trying. Like when I watched it, I was like, I want to live in that life, even though I technically did. It's not as satisfying, I guess, when you're actually doing it. But yeah, I'm just kind of like do whatever he says, like assistant named Wendy. Shut up, La Wendy.
Sebastian. Sebastian and I were roommates for a very short time right after his first movie, The Maid. Do you remember that, Sebastian? Yeah. Remember you made in our apartment? It was disgusting. Yeah. It's a New York apartment. Come on. So how did you...
Whose interview is this?
Exactly. What's going on here? Who's got the mic?
How did you both get tied up together and become a part of that?
We got a boat for 3 days. I met him through Michael Cera, the actor person, and yeah, he did 2 movies. He like went to Chile for like 6 months and came home and was like, "I have a new family," and it was Sebastian and all his crew, and he's just like a person I like a lot in my life. So yeah, we just like hung out, and then he was telling me about this movie he wanted to make, and he was talking about actors he wanted to get in it, and then. Kristen Wiig is a friend of mine, and Tunde Adabimpe, and so I just like we all hung out, like had dinners each time, or, like phone calls, and they loved it. Like everybody wants to work, and the movie got made, and now we're talking about it at a cafe.
And you, of course, you starred in Martha. I always get the order wrong. Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene.
Yeah.
Yes, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So then when did James White come about? Was that something that you had discussed while that was going on, or what was sort of the evolution of that?
Martha was, I guess, 4 years ago now, or at least 4 years ago that it was at Sundance. I met Antonio, Josh, and Sean about who are the Borderline Films trio about a year before before shooting Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene, and then I got to do a reading of Martha, then got to do the film. Then been friends with all of them since. And then James White it's not like James White was written for me. Josh was already kind of working on it. And then I'm not sure if this is completely true, but I think Josh did have me in mind, and then I was doing a play at the time, maybe like a year or so before we started shooting James White, that he came to, and then I think for whatever reason that kind of solidified it for him to choose me to do it. So
You were naked at the play, right?
No. I know that you would think. Yeah, and then he asked me to do it, and then I wasn't involved at all in like writing it, but I got to read a bunch of different drafts before we actually got to shoot it. So I was mentally prepared quite a bit before shooting.
Right. And how did you get to know James White and sort of kind of embody him? Is that the right way to say that?
No, absolutely. Through a bunch of discussions with Josh, and I think the character is a bit of amalgamation of, there is a little bit of Josh himself in there. The movie isn't quite autobiographical, but there are elements that are. So I don't know. I kind of stole from him, and I think I stole from like 2 or 3 other people that I know, and kind of mixed it all up, or somewhat.
And did you know your co-stars? You have Cynthia Nixon who's in there as well. Did you work a lot together beforehand?
No, I mean I met her. I had met her a couple times just through like theater friends, but no, that was my first time working with her.
I mean, she was really quite amazing in that. I mean, obviously, I have I think a lot of people would, of course, have their image of her as, in her character in Sex and the City. Yeah. But she's just, is so completely transformed and such amazing character.
I had never watched an episode of Sex and the City, so I mean, I had known.
What?
I mean, surprise.
You must be straight.
But I had seen her in a lot of plays and everything, so I always kind of just saw her as this great actress, actor. Right. Sorry.
No, I don't give a shit.
All right, good.
And you knew Kristen beforehand, but Sebastian you had met through Michael Cera, as you said, and this was Sebastian.
Famous people all over the place. Right?
Yeah, and Sebastian, this is the first time you've acted, is that right? I'm sorry to throw you into this mix, but I'm going to do it.
Yes, it was the first time.
First time, okay.
And he killed it.
Yes, first time.
Yeah, but okay. Well, since you have a microphone, I'm just gonna ask you really fast. What made you decide to be a part of this group?
Oh, to act in the movie?
Or I mean, to be in front of the camera as well.
God damn it.
I don't know. I guess part of it is like to have a different experience while making a movie. It's my sixth feature, and it's not that it gets old to make movies, but the process, even though every movie is different, they're very similar. You know. So acting was gonna just make it completely different, and it was very scary and risky. It could have gone so wrong, you know. And the producers were alright with that risk, and I took it. Yeah.
All right. Did you and your fellow actors give them some pointers or any kind of acting 101?
No.
No.
Yeah, I don't know how to give pointers. Once you're on set, you're like, let's just be cool.
Yeah.
Just be cool. No, I think Sebastian did a great job. It was like we were trying to create just like naturalism, and it was stylized in its own way, just to like bring it to life. And we were all friends, anyways. So it was kind of just like, oh yeah, we're about to have dinner and we need to get stuff for a birthday party. Okay, so go. And like you were very unaware of the cameras, and we were all just kind of like existing together.
Mm-hmm. So when I was watching the film, it really, I mean, I live in Manhattan, but obviously go to Brooklyn quite often, and it really, that story just really seemed to reflect many neighborhoods in Brooklyn. I mean, maybe kind of expand on that I assume you agree.
Well, when I was watching it, I mean, it's a very personal story, I think, for Sebastian too, because it's like his apartment, his neighborhood, and so it's kind of what it feels like to hang out at Sebastian's place with him. And when I watched it, I was like, that's really weird. That's like exactly what it's like to hang out. And also, I think his relationship with Tunde that they created, like when I was watching it, I was like, God damn it, I want to be like in a relationship like 4 years in, where you're just like at the point where you're like chilling together and you don't really need to have sex that much, but you're like comfortable. You both want to eat the same things most nights, and they really created that so well, a real intimacy of couple. And I feel like so many movies try to do that, and it were casted together, like, and now you're married, and now you're dating. But they did that in such a natural, great way. And yeah, the whole vibe was just like, it's like a really cozy, nice environment. So, you know, once you see it, you're kind of like in this world, and you think you're safe, and then shit gets real.
And there's a bit of a kind of a, at least from my observation, there's a clash between sort of the gentrification element and then people who have lived there for like quite a while. You sort of see that in kind of characters that kind of run-ins in the street and so forth.
Yeah, and it doesn't really make fun of them. Like, I feel like the idea of gentrification and hipsters is to judge them, which is something I like to do, but I'm like part of it all. Mm-hmm. This is all vintage clothing. So I think the film does a good job of it's not mocking or trying to say anything. It's just kind of like the simplicity of people's lives and like what their challenges are.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you both filmed in New York, and yours, I mean, I know it takes place in New York, but it was in New York, right?
James, most of it, and a little bit in Mexico.
Oh, right. That's
section.
right. That there was the resort. So how was the filming in New York? And
I mean, I've done it before. It's good. I mean, it wasn't very difficult. I mean, I think because a lot of our location stuff was kind of boring. A lot of our locations were pretty locked off. You know, a lot of stuff just took place in the apartment, and we shot a lot in that. So it was easy, I guess, pretty easy by New York standards of trying to shoot places. Was that where you were going with that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
How much do you like New York?
You have there's a bunch of intense scenes, but the one in particular that really stood out for me was when you were with Cynthia, your mother, in the bathroom, when you help her go to the bathroom, and you're kind of going through a bit of a verbal dream sequence about what you wish reality could be. How did you guys set that up, and maybe talk about the importance of that to the film? Because I think that was just a very tender and heartbreaking and intense moment, and I would imagine that must have taken quite a while to get even correct, and the dynamic between you two was amazing.
On a let's see, I mean, on a technical level, we just kind of did it, you know, like just learn the lines and do it, and we did it over and over again. That's technical level, but
maybe give a little tease to what I'm kind of referring to here, also, just for people who haven't.
Oh
seen
yeah,
it.
okay. There's a scene in the film when Cynthia's character's I guess cancer is kind of starting to get worse, She's kind of physically enabled to move as well as she did. So, it's the taking care of her, helping her to the bathroom, helping her get pills, towels, everything. And so there's a part where she just wants to sit in the bathroom and just sit there and relax, and me and her are there, and we just start talking. I ask her where she wants to be in her head. Me and dynamic where she encourages me to write and dream a little bit, and so I kind of tell her this made up story that could be real of her future, and it's about maybe her moving to Paris and meeting someone. And anyway, but I think what's really nice about that scene is because with the idea of someone that might be passing away soon, it's kind of a nice gesture, I think, to kind of, whether it's real or not, to kind of implant these memories for them. And I find it kind of interesting, because even things that happen to us as humans in real life, and this is take away technology and videos and all that, but anything that's happened to us in our lives, they exist just as memories in our head and over time. So by creating this fake scenario that could have happened, you still get the images in your head of what that could have been. So it's an interesting thought of where that actually lives in your brain, like whether it's real or not. But if you can see them, and you can kind of feel that they're possibly real. I don't know. Something about it is kind of beautiful if they just exist. If the images just exist, and maybe, and yeah, and so I think maybe that the James character was maybe trying to do that for her. Is that yeah?
That was beautiful.
Thanks.
And I noticed a lot of the ideal imagery that you were talking about was sort of centered in Paris.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that a place that you both particularly liked, and was that sort of thrown into the script because of that?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's exactly. It was a place that we both kind of romanticized.
So, what are some of James White's attributes, and maybe some of his things that he really struggles with, more in particular?
He's I guess the character is pretty relentless on all levels. Whatever he does hard. He loves hard. He fights hard. He drinks hard. So everything is about 100 miles an hour with him. So I think there's the good and the bad in that. And I guess he's kind of someone that puts a lot of pressure on everybody in his life, no matter how long he's known them. There's like 3 different levels of relationships that he has, or there's more than that. But the mother, who he's known his whole life, the best friend, played by Scott, who he's known for some amount of years, and then the girl that he meets in Mexico, who he's only known for a short time. So there's kind of this, and it's almost like he expects this from all these people, no matter where he is. But the good thing about it is because he would do that for them. Right.
Right. I mean, it was interesting. Sometimes when you see him out partying and kind of living a life a little bit to the fullest, you wouldn't necessarily see that he would be there, so kind of have these extremely tender moments with his mother. It's almost like a kind of a surprise. It's sort of like 2 personas in a way.
Yeah, I mean,
Dual
he's
persona.
selfish and selfless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what? I'm going to be a little more.
By the way, quickly, Antonio Campos, who's one of the board
Antonio.
is here also.
Give him a
Antonio
mic.
Campos.
Who's producer.
Yes. Antonio, maybe you could give us just a little bit of insight into how did this kind of all come together? Since we
the mic
since we
is
got a
over
little
there.
spotlight over to you.
Thanks, Chris. I just wanted this opportunity to talk. So,
He texted me while we were
yeah.
talking.
give me a chance to speak. How did it all come about? The James White?
Yeah.
11 years ago, Josh, Sean, and I connected, and we made a plan that we were all gonna help each other make their first feature. And Josh and Sean produced my first feature after school, and then Josh and I produced Sean's first feature, Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene, and it was, you know, it was always part of the plan. And I kind of, I guess I kind of pushed Josh to write what he knew, and I gave him some stuff to inspire him, and he kind of took it and started going back and putting together this character, James White, based on, you know, himself, his people he knew, the world he was in, like, you know, we all came from New York, and New York is such a big part of it. And so, yeah, and that was it, and that was about 2 years ago. So it was a long process, the gestation process.
Right. And just one last question for you, and then I'll let you off the hook here. But I mean, obviously, the filmmaking experience is not new to you, but this is your first time directing, or as director. Is that correct?
Wait, who, me?
Yes.
No,
as director.
I'm not a director here.
No, yeah, I know, but
Producer.
this is the first.
Well, as a producer? I'm not a director. I'm not Josh. I'm Antonio.
Okay. Whoops, never mind.
Okay. He's a producer.
So my name's Antonio Campos.
Okay.
Sean,
Let's pull up the IMDb page on the
Josh
screen.
Wan is the director of James
Yeah,
White.
right, okay.
Josh Wan looks like a skinnier version of Chris Abbott.
Dick.
How did you guys all meet, like, back in the day?
Who cares?
Who cares? Next.
Came here to make sure we like talk about the movie well.
So what drew you both to acting? How did this all come about? Very back. We'll go a little more general now, and then we'll go general, and then eventually lead over to questions from the audience.
Self-obsession, I think.
Yeah.
Wanting every moment of my life to be recorded. Yeah, I started acting when I was like really young. I was 9. I did a Barbie commercial, and I was like, "This is it. This is my ticket to freedom."
What commercial?
It was a Barbie commercial for a Porsche. Barbie in a
barbecue.
Porsche. Barbecue?
I thought that's what you
No,
said.
I grew up in LA. Yeah, no, it was a Barbie commercial. And then, then I did this movie called Three Kings by David O. Russell when I was 9. It was like my first, I had like 3 months playing like an Iraqi refugee with 2 broken casts, getting dragged around in the dust. It was like when I was younger, I used to watch that show All That, which is like a kids SNL. And
A kids SNL? Yeah.
It's really great. And I remember watching it just being like, I could do that. I want to do that. So my parents were like cool about it, but kind of hesitant. And I really pushed them, and I got an agent, and then just started like auditioning. But now I'm like 25, almost 26, so I've been doing this for however amount of time that is. And it's weird because I've had very different acting throughout the past 10 or so years. And it's weird. Like at first it was just something I did, and I like really enjoyed it, and I go back to school. And then I started being really bitter about it, and like not liking it and being like, this doesn't represent what I really want. And so I like love it again because I've like reapproached it in the sense of like, I'm just gonna do stuff I want to do with all the amazing people I've met. And that seems to be going really well. And I don't think I'm the best actress, but like, I like to make films. I like being on set, and I want to do all different aspects of it, not just the acting stuff.
And you've done television, obviously, with Arrested Development and so forth, and then of course film. So what are sort of the attributes of both?
It's all just like, it's all a gig. Made a lot of money on TV. Those were the good days. I started that show when I was like 14, and I was on a TV show before that. So like 11 to 18, I was on like a TV show, and it was a great like childhood, if you will. In both cases, I was with like really like some of my best friends still to this day, Mae Whitman and Michael Cera. And I'm really proud of those 2 shows. Like now, it's so hard to like read something that was nearly that good. And at the time, I was just like, yeah, this is great. It shouldn't be anything less than. And they were both like really well-written shows. And but it's all kind of the same thing. I think I'm just doing a lot more like indie-style films. It's the last time I'll ever say the word indie. But just like things where it's like, let's just make something as fast as possible and like a weirder story instead of like waiting for development and stuff. It's like, I'm just seeing very different sides of how you actually can make films now.
And then Chris?
I started because I didn't know what to do I was going to community college. I had a bunch of jobs at the time. Then I just started taking an acting. I don't know why, but I started taking an acting class at the community college. It wasn't a great class by any means, but it's when I finally felt like I was like, oh, I know how to do this, and I enjoy it. And then shortly after that, I started going to HB Studio in New York, and this was when I was about 20. I didn't even think about acting until I was about 20 years old, probably. No.
That's kind of late, or
It's late, yeah. I guess so. I hadn't. I mean, the thought of did it in high school, or I mean, the thought of it seemed kind of absurd to me, like kind of silly. But then, and this is before, but now, I couldn't replace it. I really love doing it. And then I went to HB Studio in New York, which is just kind of a acting studio that you go and take classes at your own free will. They're pretty cheap. And then eventually moved to New York and just started going to school, and then I started in theater. I did still to this day, probably most of my jobs are plays that I've done.
But it was that class that was sort of the
I mean the community college class wasn't so much of it. It was just kind of like I realized I liked it, and then I think going to HB Studio made me start more as a possible job, as a, right. Yeah.
Both of you, did you have people that you kind of helped you along, or kind of nudge you, or sort of like that were sort of like kind of gave like a creative momentum, maybe earlier on?
Creative momentum person?
I would think some like the teachers there, like I studied with like Austin Pendleton, who's who just does everything and like anything and everything. He's always involved in something. I think some teachers that just when people just are like, hey, you're good, or whatever, or that was little sprinkles of inspiration here and there. Yeah.
I mean, my mom was always really cool, helping me out. She would like drive me to auditions and stuff. Also, because I was younger about it, it was always like, we could stop this at any minute. So I was able to have a very normal life and then redefine it myself as a young adult, which I think made a big difference to why I'm still in this and why I'm not getting like, fucked up every night. But I am getting fucked up every night, but I'm like in control of it, you know what I mean? I'm like, fine, I'm here, so.
Who are some of your kind of, I don't want to say like your acting hero that you want to emulate, but maybe that you see as a template for that you would like to at least use as a reference, and as you progress in your acting?
I mean, there's a lot of actors that I really love the performances and stuff. Like Samantha Morton's one of my favorite actresses, but weirdly, Michael Cera's career, I've really we've known each other since such a young age, and he got very recognizable very fast, but he has handled like his career choices in such a beautiful way. Like he just finds great directors and like meets with them and then ends up working with them, and that inspired me to be like, I want to do that. I don't want to just wait to get an email like, you have an appointment for the young quirky friend, which I still get every now and then. But I was like, yeah, it's not about that. Like he was just like really patient and knew what he wanted, and I admired that about him, and it definitely inspired me to do something similar.
Has Michael Cera given you like any particular advice that you can share?
No, I'd tell him to shut up. I'd be like, don't give me advice. Just like, what? We're equals.
And you?
Not trying to dodge the question at all, but like I really am inspired by like a lot of people that I work with. Like on all, and not even just other actors. Just generally people who are just get excited by doing it. And that's kind of infectious. But like especially in school, like Philip Seymour Hoffman was a huge inspiration, just because he was a guy who did theater, and he would do off Broadway theater. He would just kind of be in all these different pots, and that was incredibly inspiring for me. Younger, and I mean, it runs again like. Will Patton is like one of my favorite actors. I think he's so good. The list is so long.
Right. So you've done some theater. You were saying, yeah. So what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how is that? I mean, what creatively what out of that is maybe even somewhat different than doing something on film?
I mean, I think doing plays is kind of, I mean, for me at least, it's kind of like it's where you get to like act. You know, you do a part and you can do it from beginning to end without stopping, and then you have this kind of momentum. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's where I enjoy acting the most, because there's different there's elements of film that are really fun. You know, being able to be small and intimate, and then but doing a play, you can kind of you're on your own. You know, from beginning to end, and it's kind of it's a thrill in a way. I mean, it's live, so it's like, you know, it's like playing, if you're playing music, it's like doing it in your bedroom could be fun, but then when you get to play in front of an audience, that's where it kind of really kicks in.
I'm just curious, and maybe in the audience, if there are actors or aspiring actors or maybe new. Anyone? We have a couple. Good. Right on.
I'm an aspiring actor too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe what do you have any like advice or tips, or someone that's going into it? Maybe that you, with benefit of hindsight, now that you have had a little hindsight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still learning. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. I don't know.
It's never gonna make sense. I don't think.
Were there already, like, well, I mean, I know that you said you kind of got the acting sort of desire through class, but were there any like movies in particular growing up that you saw that were kind of had any kind of impact on you and like wanting to?
This might not make sense, but like I find in like a lot of Coen Brothers movies, or just like certain trailers for great films, they capture like, or P.T. Anderson films, there's like these weird little moments captured by characters in trailers where they just like, it's like one shot of them making a weird noise or like yelling or getting hit. It's just like, it's like these weird little moments. And I always used to be like, I want to do a nice weird little moment like that. Like where you kind of don't even know the reference of it, but it just looks like it's really like energetic and stuff. But yeah, I mean, acting's like, it's so stupid sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, I love it, I admire it, but it's like, it's kind of like the silliest job in a weird way. I think people want it for a lot of different reasons, and when you kind of don't want it, you just like, you know, you're not like trying to get something from it, you're just like, I just like doing this, and don't have any expectations. Maybe something will come along. I don't think anyone really has an idea of whether they're a great actor or not. It's kind of like the luck and the roles that come up and the timing and what you're right for, you know, and just hope it like works out. But it's like, it's really hard to rely on or to like grab onto, kind of.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, please.
So just because, you know, Chris is not going to talk himself up, but as someone who's watched Chris many times perform and worked with some really amazing actors, I think what Chris has is an amazing presence and control over himself in those characters, and I think that's like kind of the key to being a great actor, is this being able to be completely present in the moment and have control of your emotions and your body and your face. I mean, when Josh would give Chris the smallest little detail, Chris would take it and then make it this huge thing, so yeah, I just wanted to say that because I think he's not going to be able to. He can't say how great he is, but he's an amazing actor and he's an amazing person to work.
Thanks, Tony.
And the other
Applause.
And I will say the other thing about these two people is that they are actually amazing musicians as well. And Alia is one of the most beautiful singers I've ever heard.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
All right, Antonio, all right.
So that's it. I'm gonna shut up.
Sebastian, you have anything to say about my acting, or
My favorite,
me as a person, or my soul, or anything?
my favorite thing about Ali's acting is that she finds acting stupid.
I know that came off wrong. I feel
I'm
lucky.
I was agreeing with you. No, I really like her humble spirit. Like, she really has no pretensions, and I think that finding acting stupid and like the whole film industry is stupid. It's something really quite relieving, because it is really stupid. So when you are in the middle of it and you're part of it, it's good to know that, you know, and that you're not trapped into something. Because, like, seriously, guys, like, independent film making, it's a little bit of a myth if you always need like a name for a movie. It's really hard to make a film as small as it is. Very few people are willing to invest in a movie that doesn't have a name on it. And the name, I mean like agents and people talk about actors of their network. I mean like how much are they worth, you know, and it's money. It's like how many people are gonna go see this person and like how much is she worth? And you're like, she's perfect for the fucking role, you know, and they're like, no, but she's not big enough. So how is that not stupid when you're making a movie and you found the perfect person, but that person cannot be it because it doesn't really fit the sort of like business model. But then again, I'm here with a movie and I enjoy making movies, but that's what I like the most about Alia, that she knows about that and she keeps going and living that absurdity. I find it so wise from her. And she's like 19 years old, you know?
Thanks. Thanks, Sebastian.
Nice. I want to get to your questions here in a moment, but who are some directors that you haven't worked with yet that you would hope to maybe in the near future that you would like to work with?
Sebastian Silva.
Yes. Okay, good answer.
Antonio Campos. For real, though. For real.
Excellent. But who are some
I think
that
there's
you...
so many.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, I mean, P.T. Anderson, I really love very much. But there's a lot of, like, new filmmakers, too, that I, like, see their stuff and excited by making, like, their second film and stuff like that. Anna Lily Amirpour, who did Girl Walks Home Alone. Yeah, she's great. Yeah, it's kind of hard. I feel like lately the films I work on, it becomes so collaborative because I've had experience on set, but they have a very strong vision or whatever. So I work with a lot of first-time directors or, you know, just people who aren't used to having like a whole team behind them, like they've done this with their eyes closed. So I like that collaborative thing. Right. Spike Jonze is pretty cool.
I mean, I would imagine that film, just in general, is a lot more collaborative than television work, for sure. I would imagine.
Yeah, to a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially like lower budget films. It's like everyone has to just fucking chip in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look for that purse. We need it to match the fucking last scene. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that a lot.
Yeah. Would you ever consider going behind the camera down the road? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I did.
Yeah.
Roll the clip. Yeah, I made a short film about my dad's strip club.
Uh-huh.
Right. Yeah, but I write, I want to direct for sure. I think it's like a natural process. I work better with people. I'm not as good like on my own, so I people.
Did you have a strip club growing up?
Yeah.
I did too.
No way.
Yeah, my one of my best friends. Yeah, there was one.
How do we not know this?
There was one in like my hometown. That, but it wasn't. I mean, I'd be there. Maybe I fucking shouldn't say that. I would be there. I would be there underage, but we would be like. It was weird. We'd be like friends with them, like, you know, as like 16 or like 15-year-olds. We'd be like hang out after. Yeah, but that's a fun.
That's a connection.
And it's now I feel like desensitized to them. I think because.
Oh,
of
for
it.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad always had it, always, and then as I became a similar age to the dancers, I was like, this makes me feel funny about my sexuality. Let's go ask some questions about it. That's so funny. Yeah. We should go to a strip club together.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
But we'll hang out in the back.
Yeah, we'll hang out in the back.
And just talk.
Chris, did you try out the
memories.
pole or no?
No, man.
16. She was
kidding.
16
Yeah,
years old.
All right. So let's see. Out here with questions. We'll start here in the back, and then we're gonna use them. We're gonna wait for the microphone, please.
Okay, so I had a two-part question for both of you. My first one is, how do you keep like your artistic merit when you're trying to do movies? Because you want to act, at the same time, you want to do something that's like actually good, but also you want to make money too. So there's levels to it. And my second question is to both of you, between like shooting like mainstream, like you did Girls, you did Arrested Development, and doing like independent movies. Also.
No, just what's the difference? Is that what you meant?
It was like the difference between like doing like working for Fox or HBO and do like independent movies with no crew at all. And also for Alia, one season 5 of Arrested Development coming out.
What is it? Something coming down? What'd you say?
Arrested Development season 5.
Season 5.
Let me know.
Yeah, hopefully I'll get an email. That's how it worked last time. Do you want to start?
Yeah. What the first one? Was
Maintaining artistic merit. but you still got to make money?
Yeah. I'm lucky enough to not have any other financial responsibilities other than myself, and I don't need much. You know.
So.
Yeah. I mean, this is like my only pair of jeans that I brought here. But so for now, I can kind of pick and choose only because I don't have much financial responsibility. Yeah. And until maybe when I do, then that might be more difficult of a decision.
When I did the show when I was younger, and I made money from that, even though I had no awareness. So I put it in a safe account. So I was lucky to have some. But then I did this movie called Deck the Halls. And it was one of the worst experiences of my life. It was like a bad Christmas movie. And I remember that was just like, I got a job. I said yes. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, got a job. I go do it. But I'd been so lucky up until then. It was only great things. And when I was on set of that, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm like really unhappy, and I'm wasting my time. And I'm getting chased around a fireplace wearing an ugly sweater, and it just doesn't, I'm not doing anything. It's like a weird ride. So after that, I was just like, I'm not going to do that. And I didn't work for like a year. I moved to New York. I like started painting and doing other shit. And I was like frustrated because I was like, I gotta work. And I was like feeling desperate about it. And then just like a role came up, you know, this film Whip It. I read the script, and it was like, the timing worked out great. And it's kind of like a mix of like trusting stuff and taking risks. I don't have that much money. I have enough to like eat, and sometimes I buy fancy shoes, but that's about it, you know? It kind of goes in waves, yeah. It's like anything. It sounds kind of hippie, but just like you can't want it too much. If you really love it, you just keep doing it. And like writing stuff with friends, doing stuff with friends is, I think, the best way. Just like every idea, just make as many as possible and just keep doing it instead of overthinking that you got to get this one big thing where people can see you. Like, just no expectations on it, because it's like really changing right now. Yeah. The way media and everything's coming out, and like you just want to get in on that.
Yeah, it's weird sometimes too. Like, I think if you have a good attitude about it, that it's not like, I mean, I feel like this has happened to me about 4 or 5 times in my life when I've been like on my last dime, like something just like kind of like comes in and I just you know, and then you know it's scary, but it's kind of fun. I think kind of fun to live that way. Yeah. And the second part was the mainstream. You know, the show. I mean, the HBO show wasn't, you know, because Lena also came from independent film. It didn't really feel like it was this mainstream thing. It almost felt like it felt like it was being shot like an independent film. I mean, there was a set and stuff, but that was the only real difference. And then I haven't done a studio movie yet, so I'm not.
Yeah, me neither. They don't ask me to come in for those. Yeah, Arrested Development, no one knew it was going to be good. People did not know it was good. The studios definitely didn't know it was good. So it didn't feel like we were like part of this huge thing. Like, we won all these Emmys, and then they were like, pat on the back, like, good job, we're going to cancel you next month. So, yeah, I've never been in that kind of like world yet where there's like crazy fittings and hair color has to be the right shade. I've heard about it from other friends. It kind of sounds torturous. But, you know, next month you might see me in a new Marvel film, so. And you'll know I sold out.
Go here, and then we'll go over here. A few questions in the front. Right. Over here, and then we'll move over to the right. First, sorry.
You guys enjoying this? Or are we just like talking out of our ass, or like you're enjoying this? Yeah. A little mixed. Okay. Validity. Thank you.
We like it.
I don't think this is it working? Okay. Yeah. This is for Alia. I'm 19 and very aware of the image that goes along with a lot of women's roles in film, and I wonder how you've managed to maintain this very authentic image in a climate where women feel very pressured to transform.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's there's obviously a wave of like, I went to like a luncheon the other day. It's like women in film, and I'm not trying to mock it, but it's like it's obviously a big movement that's happening. There's much more female filmmakers and perspectives and stuff. I think not to harp it as if we're separate from men, but just that like it's just good to be putting out all different kinds of perspectives, no matter what sex you are. But yeah, the way they perceive like women in ads and shows is like the worst. You know, it's like in LA, there's so many advertisements and everyone's just like half naked. And you're like, is that for like film or is that just like a porn? Sometimes it's both. And I think it's a very tricky thing. Again, I used to be more bitter about it. I used to be more like self-conscious about my body, which I feel like everybody is. And I still am, but it just kind of got to the point where you don't try to be anything else. You know what I mean? You're not like, I get roles for like this kind of girl, that kind of girl. Sometimes you laugh at it. You're just like, I'm not that. I don't want to be that. There's nothing like exciting about it for me. And you just kind of try and connect to like, do you want to be saying these words and be like pretending to be this person for a little while? And you're just not what you're not and you don't want to be. That sounds smart, right? Yeah, you just like confidence in yourself, because so much of it is like you're not right, and a lot of it is like because you don't look right. And you're like, well, that's harsh, thank you. But it really has nothing to do with you. And once you realize that, it makes it a lot easier to just be like, feel your sexiest and best and strongest, so when you go in there, you don't give a shit if you get the role or not. Think about you, you're just like, I'm in this zone. I'm gonna get lost and like have fun for a second and leave, and then go have lunch with a friend, Yeah.
We'll go over, here, and then we'll go to the right. Okay.
I know you filmed part of the Final Girls in Louisiana, and I was wondering how the Louisiana film industry compares to like that of like New York or California.
Yeah. Did you work on that movie?
I was an extra.
Yeah. Oh, rad. That was a fun movie. Yeah, Louisiana's rad. We hung out in New Orleans every weekend, and that was fun. The crews were really nice. It's a fun part of the job when you get to like travel for like a month in a different place. I was in Portland for a month earlier this year, and you get really closer with everyone you work with, and that part's fun. Yeah, Louisiana's rad. I hope to go back. I love New Orleans. Yeah.
I think okay. Go ahead. Did you have a question too? Okay, we'll go back. Go ahead. Okay.
Well, you asked them about what director you wanted to work with or what actor you want to emulate. I have a question about what film, when you were growing up, had the greatest impact on you, and does it still?
I'm really bad with questions like that.
I used to watch movies with my mom, and I used to watch movies over and over and over again. I think a lot of kids do that. So this is gonna sound very like not like cinephile and cool or whatever. I do watch a lot of movies, but like I used to watch like Moonstruck with my mom, and like. And yeah, no, and I'm not saying that they're bad, like Tootsie, Mrs. Doubtfire, you know what I mean? And like the script to Mrs. Doubtfire is incredible. Like, you know what I mean? Like that.
You get your hands on the script?
No, I feel like I know it. Like I just know, I know. So I think the nostalgia of those I think continues to be inspiring. You know what I mean? It's the reason, it's where I started watching movies. So yeah, the nostalgia of those I think still is inspiring.
Aladdin. That was a great film. I wanted to be Aladdin, not Jasmine. And also, like, my mom likes a lot of old movies. I used to watch films with her too. It Happened One Night. I really love those kind of like screwball romantic comedies, and they were done so well. And I'd love to do some kind of movie like that where you just like really want them to get together, but they keep like slipping or getting on the wrong train or something.
And right here.
How does acting a character that is in a difficult emotional situation like James White affect your everyday life?
That one particular. James White particularly. Actually, this doesn't always happen, but I did find that one kind of difficult. We were on somewhat of a time constraint, and so even like the hour were kind of difficult, and then the subject matter on top of that. The only thing I felt like I can do is just like when I got home is just go to bed, and just try and sleep, and and not to simplify it or anything like that, but it was just to have as much energy as I could to process all the things that were going on, and just try as hard as you can not to take it home with you, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I haven't thought about that too much, but yeah, sleep. I don't know.
All right, questions in the back. Oh, yep, right back there.
When you get a role, how much of the performance can you attribute to practice and direction, and how much is just you doing your thing?
I feel like you don't know until you see the movie. At least for me, I don't know. There's some scenes where I'm on set and I'm like, felt really good about that one. And then like doesn't even make it in the movie, or you see it and you're like, that makes no sense at all. And then sometimes the other way around. I normally, 99% of the time, I leave every scene being like, fuck that up. Like, did not do what I wanted. And you try to just like forget it because you're like, have to do 20 more scenes, you know, and you're just like, let it go. Yeah, I think you have no idea. I mean, at least for me, the pieces that make it happen is kind of like an alchemy of just whatever. Because otherwise, I try and do that every time.
Yeah. I mean, with film too, I think that's something that's interesting is just knowing. Like, sometimes I think I'm doing something, and then I see it on the film, and I was like, oh, that's not what I was trying to do at all. So it's almost like it's like trying to navigate that thing. I mean, I look at myself in the mirror, or a picture of myself. I'm like, I don't think I look like that, you know. It's a weird thing. With plays, it's different because you would have like a ton of rehearsal and you have a lot more prep for that kind of stuff. Yeah. But just kind of watching, I guess, right? Yeah.
Okay. Let's see your chair right over here. We have to get the microphone too. That was one. Wait. Yeah.
It's kind of a weird question, but do you care what your fans think? Because I love being a movie watcher. I mean, that's what we do for fun. And I mean, I'm on IMDb and I'm reading about people when they really give a great performance. And I know you have your own private life, but do you care like what we think? And 'cause sometimes I do reviews. I'm like, God, I don't know if I should be doing this, but I just really love watching films.
That's great. I think it would be fucked up if I was like, I don't give a shit what my fans think. Also, it's weird to be like, my fans. I don't think I have my own set-aside fans.
I don't think I have my own.
We're like in groups of fans, you know? They're like, I like these kind of things. I'm like, I'm in that group. No, I think I love seeing movies too. It's like one of my favorite things to do. I love seeing new movies, like new voices and stuff, so I think it's great. Yeah, of course. There has to be people, there has to be an audience, you know, otherwise I'd be like Home Alone performing in a mirror, which I still do. Yeah, the audience has to bring it like to life, so yeah, thank God.
Yeah, people. Absolutely. I mean, I guess I would try not to let it like affect how I do it, you know, like that's first form. But I mean, there's no denying that. Like I exactly, I wouldn't do it alone. Like that's terrible. I want to do it because I want people to see it. Yeah, for sure.
It's about connecting, you know, like we
especially
both feel
theater,
the same way.
You know, that's like. I keep going back to theater. I feel like I'm like, in the theater.
You're like a real actor. Though.
I know. I'm not. I'm gonna stop. Oh, that's the last theater thing. I swear to God.
In the theater, though, it reminds me.
I'm so sick of myself saying that. I'm done.
Tell us about the theater.
What you just? Oh, we got Tunde in the house. Tunde said something about theater.
I was just wondering if you could tell us about the theater.
We can talk after, dude. Yeah, let's go have coffee.
All right, we have time for a couple more questions back there, yeah.
What would be your ultimate role to play, each of you?
Ultimate role. I mean, it hasn't. It's a weird thing because it doesn't exist yet. Yeah. But I want to do a Western. I really do want to do some. I want to get on a horse.
You can do that. Maybe you should start now.
Sebastian, you want to do that?
Yeah. I'll arrange that. I'll get a horse.
Yeah.
No dialogue. Just ride. That's the name of the film.
Just ride.
We just figured it out.
You got it, man.
Keep an eye out next year. Just ride.
It's going to be part of next competition next year.
Can I be like a saloon girl who's like, where are you going? You don't answer.
The one line in the whole film.
Yeah, that is the weird part about it. It's exciting because every time you read a new script, you're like, you have no idea what it's going to be like, and when it's really good, you get like really excited about it. there's definitely films I want to make that would be like great roles to play, but I'd like want to write them. Like, I want to make fun of actors, and that's something I'm working on. So this is experience, you know, me just like farting into a mic out of my mouth.
Just right.
Just right. Just right's really strong.
So good.
That was your moment.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe one more question? If not, we will be almost done. Well, maybe you... Yeah, I'll give one more chance to this guy. You have a question, sir? Yeah. Right back there. Just raise your hand so they can see. Yeah.
Curious if you've ever had a negative review, how does that get to you? And the other question that's related to that, have you ever had reviews that you felt were just unfair, that you provided a great performance, it was a great movie, but, you know, wasn't appreciated?
The reviews, the critics.
I mean, I don't know. You have to let all of it roll off. You know, there's even the good ones. You can't. I think it could be dangerous reading good, and it's dangerous reading good and bad reviews, because if you read good ones, you get too filled up on yourself, and then you know, yeah. And then critics, I think all the time don't understand the film that they just saw. It's such a, and I hear it. I'm gonna like go off about critics or whatever, but like it's such a it's an interesting thing. I mean, there are good ones and there are bad ones, and you know, it's a strange thing, because it's truly only one person's opinion about something, and then they're just then in the position to publish it. So I don't it doesn't quite make sense to me. I know we need it, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Just right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like, one person, the whole point of making a film is not for one person to see it, it's for like a lot of people to feel different ways about it. And there's been films that I really don't like that a lot of people like, so it's like good for them. I just think it's stupid.
Yeah.
So it's like, it would be weird if everybody did like something. Like, I enjoy that people don't. I don't like read any reviews just because like I'm not really like a lead in a lot of stuff, so it's never about like the minute she enters the scene or whatever. It's like, oh, and that one girl from that show was good. But I did read one once that like was like saying something like poor like after Arrested Development making the worst choices, and I was like, all right, a lot too. But that's okay.
The mediocre ones almost are weird. I remember like
Yeah,
I really don't try to read reviews, but I remember I read my first play review. Oh fuck. Yeah.
Oh, you were acting in a play?
But like I remember after my name, like I had worked really hard. It was like my first off-Broadway play, and I was like, oh, like, and I read it, and it was like in New York Times, and like in parentheses after my name it was like one word. It was like fine, or just like acceptable, or something like that.
And you reread it like 3 times just to make
and
sure.
I was like,
that's
I was like, how did he mean acceptable?
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you to our great actors.
Thanks for coming.
Tell your friends, see James White and Nasty Baby here at the Sundance next.